Welcome back. So we've gotten to the point where I've found some of the ground and a bit of a rubbish dump, but underneath this waist-high brambles is a very uneven surface. I think we got a lot of a job cut out for us here. This week I'm going to be collecting seeds and hopefully clearing up some very dried pea plants.
Bok, I'm Mandy O. This is Grow, Make, Cook, and welcome to my garden. I grew up in Australia in a permaculture family, but after we got married, Mr. O and I moved here to his home country of Croatia. I am a passionate and hands-on homemaker and gardener, and I love life's simple pleasures. So join me on my journey, and together we can learn to grow, make, and cook. The beginning of summer is a busy time, watering every day, planting out tender plants, and collecting seeds from fading spring plants. So let's dig in to the first week in July, or srpanj.
Usually, when you choose a site for a greenhouse, you would choose the sunniest, here, the most south-facing spot you can find, which in this property would be out on the field. But we haven't done that. We have chosen a spot that is closer to the gardens and to the spots that we use every day, to the places we regularly visit. And this is because of a permaculture design idea called zoning. This is something I first heard about, I don't know, 16, maybe 18 years ago, when I was doing a permablitz with my dad's permaculture group. The idea of zoning is that you keep the things that need the most attention, the most care, or, that you're using every single day close to the main areas like a house or your workshop or whatever the main area that you use is. And then as you get further away from that structure, then you would site things that need less and less care. And this way, you can have really close by all of your salad crops and tender young seedlings, and then further away you would have your great big fruit trees like my elder here, that don't really take much care and attention. Now, this is an old orchard, which means that it was not designed with this in mind. This spot is also really great because just on the other side of this dogwood grove here, which is quite dense, will be my shed. So it'll kind of be a nice little triangle between where my shed is, where the tools will be, and here, which will be the little greenhouse for the, potting and propagating, and then the main kitchen garden. When I want a small amount of compost, I use this. This is just a regular garden pot with reasonably large holes in the bottom. And all I do is pick up some of my compost, give it a little shake. I've had some people reach out to me and say, I'd love to be able to sift my compost, but I don't have all that big fancy equipment. And this is a much smaller scale way of sorting out your compost so that you've got something to add to your plants while you're planting them. I have here a little zucchini for which I was sifting this compost. It's called Blackjack. It's been a reliable performer. I grew it last year. And I'm planting it in the middle of my test bed beans. So this is the bed with no wood in the bottom. And all I'm doing is 2 out of the 3 sisters. So the 3 sisters is an old American Indian tradition where they would plant their corn and their beans and their squashes all together. I am not growing corn. Mine didn't sprout. It didn't really go very well at all. So it's a 2 out of 3 sisters bed, and then I'm going to add some of this lovely fine compost I've just sifted. It's beautiful and fine. Just going to add some of that around this to make a little donut around the plant, because zucchinis are quite hungry and they will benefit from the nitrogen that these beans will be fixing on their roots, but they'll probably want actually a bit more food than that. So these are my little tiny lupins, and I left the flower head on this one to ripen into seeds so that I could show you how to collect the seeds. But here you can see that actually nature has beaten me to it. They've all burst open. There's no seeds left to collect. So I think maybe I might end up with lupin seedlings just close by, but we'll have to keep an eye on this one. What I'm doing here is I'm collecting the seed heads from my chives. So these were the flowers which looked like this, and as they mature and get pollinated, little tiny black seeds form. So what I like to do is pick the seed heads off once they've started to go brown and crunchy, and then just gently shake them out. Nature is your guide here. If it looks like the seed is just about to fall out, then it's mature enough to harvest and to keep until next spring, when I can sow new seed for my chives again. It's a lovely job, this, and I think this is just about enough. So then all I'm going to do to just winnow out some of this extra material, just gently give it a blow. Take out the big flower heads, we don't need those. That's still got a seed in. And then I'm going to pop these into a little paper container that I've just folded. It's just a piece of paper with some tape holding it closed. It's really important to put your stored seeds into paper so that they can breathe and continue to dry. Never store your seeds that you save yourself in plastic. And like that, they'll keep until next spring. Unfortunately, my chamomile never really recovered well enough from the aphid attack to be harvestable for tea. I've already harvested some of the other chamomile from the rest of the garden for tea, but this one here that I grew in the beds specifically for harvesting, unfortunately didn't make it. But that means that now I can harvest the flower tops for seed. However, I'm not going to save this seed. I'm just sowing it straight away onto some really loose garden compost. I've actually got a little bit of perlite mixed in there for good drainage. And then all I'm doing is taking the little seed heads that are quite dry and brown. So I'm just picking these very dry seed heads off, and you can see they crumble apart. And these little white things are actually the seeds, so they're in the middle of these dried seed heads. So then all I'm doing is sprinkling it on top of my little bit of compost there like that, and then hopefully with a little bit of water and a little bit of TLC and care inside to stop it from getting too hot, I'll have some fresh chamomile plants to plant out soon. I'm just snipping these off right level with the ground so that I'm leaving the roots on the ground. Peas are part of the legume family, which means that these will fix nitrogen on their roots in little nodules, and so by leaving the roots in the ground, I'm helping to feed whatever crop I plant next. While these peas have been wonderful, and they have provided us with lots and lots of harvest, and in fact there's one more. They've basically stopped producing peas now, and because it's gotten so hot you can see that they've started to go quite yellow and dry up, which is perfectly normal for this time of year. Peas are a cool weather crop and they prefer it when it's not quite so hot and dry. Now that I have finally finished clearing all of the peas from this bed, I've got a nice space for something else. I think tomorrow we might plant something in there. But while I was clearing those peas, I found a couple of mature pods, and so I've got these old containers that you get fruit in, and I've just got some compost in there, and I'm just poking those very mature peas into the top of here. I'm not worried about spacing them too evenly, but just poking them in a little bit all over the place, and I'm going to take these inside to mature and grow, and hopefully we'll get some pea greens out of these. I'm not expecting these to ever grow into full-size plants. All I'm thinking I'll do with this, just poke them all in. All I'm thinking I'll do with this is harvest the young green shoots as a salad green, because peas, when they're soft and young and leafy, make a lovely salad green.
I'm feeling so grateful for this wild summer rain, for the relief from the heat, and I adore celebrating these moments. They're nature's gifts. I hope you find something this week to be grateful for. If you like the video, click like. If you haven't already subscribed, use the button below. Until next time then, do widzenia.